Okay.
So stop it.
All
Keep
right.
going.
So where are we?
So we're
This was a risk I was willing to take because I knew if I could put my head down and I could learn how this builder got to where he was, I could then take those skill sets and I could use them to complete the building. I don't know. Breaking into real estate is oftentimes the hardest thing that anybody's ever gonna do, and my story is no different. It's a story that I want to tell. Some people know it, but I want to have an opportunity to tell it. When I was 23 years old, I had just gotten out of high school, and I wasn't a great student in high school. I was probably not only the worst student in my grade, but the worst student in the school. So I had just gotten out. Yeah, I had just gotten out, and I was a little confused. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have a lot of guidance. I thought school was dumb. So I'm hunting for jobs, 22 years old, and I end up getting a job at a gym. My job at the gym was to learn the sales process and take prospective buyers through the sales process. Through that, I'm making connections, I'm meeting people, I'm getting to know people in the community, and I come across somebody who's doing real estate deals. I'm giving him free workouts, trying to teach him how to work out and show him that if he is to hire me as his trainer, we'll take his fitness to the next level. Through building this relationship, we start talking about real estate. And it's 2012, the financial crisis had just ended, and everything is for sale. Everything, if you see a building, it's for sale. And these buildings are distressed because people are hurting and they had just let them go. So oftentimes they were just condemned and there was just maintenance and problems with them. But he had put a few under contract, and what he needed at that time was somebody to not only rehab these buildings with him, to put in the sweat equity, the work, but he also needed somebody to live in them. I took on that responsibility and I told him, yes, I'll live in the buildings for you and I'll rehab the building. So I find myself 23, 24 years old. I move out of my mom's house, I pack up my stuff, and I move to Babcock Street in Hartford. This is right off Park Street. You know, at the time it was one of the toughest neighborhoods in Hartford. And I'm living in there with no heat, no electricity, no water. And I have this massive project on my hands. I need to take this building, learn how to fix it, and then go out and execute. So I find myself in what was basically the first real challenge of my life, at least of my career. At this exact same time, a close friend of mine's parents were very good friends with a custom home builder in the area. He was looking for a full-time apprentice. Part of this job was you had to show up every day from 8 to 4, and this was not an easy job. This was grown man work, and they felt that I could help him with it. So they gave me the opportunity. They gave me his number. I called him up, and he gave me a tryout. You know, that day we demoed half the side of a building. I could do demo, but I couldn't put it back together. And he said, hey man, I really like the way you work. Why don't you come work for me full time? I have a series of jobs I'm trying to pull off, all of which were custom ground up construction. So we were building houses in West Hartford, offices mainly in West Hartford, but you name it, he did it. He did beams, tile, foundations. So I was given an opportunity where I could learn not only the skills that I was gonna need to fix this building, but much more than that. For me, this started like a 2-year journey in which I learned how to run a job, negotiate contracts, identify issues, overcome issues. Like, this is project management. And he was teaching me every single day how to become a top tier caliber project manager. So with that, I had layered the opportunity. Now I'm learning from someone who knows more than I do, and I'm taking those same skills and I'm applying them on my own every single night. I clock out of work, whatever money he gave me, I take that money straight to Home Depot and I buy compound, sheetrock, pipes, whatever we needed. I would take that money and I would go and get it. Now, once I had it back in the building, okay, now I have to install it. So now I'm taking the skills that he's teaching me every day, and either I'm using them myself or I'm subbing it out. I'm finding guys that are willing to come work on my building after hours, and I'm just developing this scrappiest mentality. I'm learning top tier skill sets and how to build correctly, but then I'm deconstructing what he is teaching me and forming it in a way which I can rehab this building in the most cost and time efficient way possible. You know, I remember at one point I found a landscaping crew in the area and I had them come do my hardwood floors. I said, hey guys, you know, doing hardwood floors, it's no different than cutting grass. You stand behind it and you push it. And we ran a midnight crew. We went, you know, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And when they were done, I had hardwood floors. And from there, you know, I found a plumber. I said, hey, listen, you pull the permit and let me help you with the work. I know how to do plumbing. I'm an apprentice. So let me help you. I found the plumbing. Next, I find the electrician on my job site, somebody who had a relationship with the guy I was working for. I brought him to my building. Hey, why don't you come help me? And this is the skills that I'm learning. I'm learning how to get buy-in from people. I'm learning how to execute. I'm learning how to run a job in the most efficient way possible, the scrappiest way possible. From immersing myself in this environment 24/7, 365, I'm becoming something different. And the job, you know, eventually we finished the job. Now I look back at it, okay, so we stabilized 3 units. It took about 12 months. It was my first deal, so I'm very proud of it. But, you know, I look back at it now and I kind of laugh because as you grow, the challenges grow. So coming off of this, you know, I thought I had seen my lowest lows. I lived in the abandoned building. I showered at LA Fitness. I barbecued every night on my grill. I thought I had seen it all, done it all. This confidence led me into a bigger series of deals. I went out and I started networking. This is the most important thing in business. It's not what you know, it's who you know, what are they doing, and how can you help them? How can you bring your skills to meet somebody else's skills, and now you have a team. And the team can go out and accomplish more than the individual can. And that just is what it is every single time. So I'm going out and I'm meeting people. Hey, my name's Axel. You know, I rehab buildings. I'm an expert in rehabbing condemned buildings. And through this, I find a portfolio deal. This deal was a lot bigger. It was 17 apartments instead of 3, but the same thing. No water, no pipes. You know, it was gonna be a difficult project to pull off. But the confidence that I gained in Hartford led me to tell the partners on the project that I was their guy. I could pull this off. There's no doubt about it. Is what I'm buying of value, or is it too far away from the happenings? Now, this deal was a 17-unit distressed portfolio in Pennsylvania. Again, there was no water, no electricity, everything I had already done. It was just on a much larger scale. You can't do more until you have more money. That made this project much more challenging. The scope of work was easier. We didn't gut anything. We just went over the top of everything. New floor. Allentown right now, people are just sitting on their inventory because they're not willing to get rid of it until we start to see those major metropolitan type prices. I mean, it will never be New York, but it could be the next Center City, Philadelphia. I knew I had developed the skills in Hartford to pull this project off. So I told the guys, I said, let's do this. You know, I'm your guy, I can pull this off. Let me run the job. Now, when you're dealing with a hard money lender, they're gonna give you all the cash to do the job. All you have to do is execute. Now, the downside with this is if you can't execute, they will take everything you have. You give them a list of everything you have, and if you can't execute, it's theirs. So we closed on that loan. Okay, now there's another building down the street. It's a beautiful 10-plex, completely distressed, but there is no financing, there's no hard money loan on this. We got it with conventional terms, therefore we're gonna have to pay out of pocket to rehab it. So what do I do? Okay, I need money. Well, how did I do Hartford? Credit cards. That day I opened up 7 or 8 credit cards and I maxed them all out. $25,000 on windows, $4,000 on paint, labor, Venmoing my partners, so they'll Venmo me back cash so we can pay the labor crews. That same scrappy mentality that got me through Hartford, I went full force into Allentown with that scrappy mentality. You know, with real estate, it's always the same. It's never what you thought it was when you started or when you bought it. The first day of construction, they identified that the entire foundation of this project below the concrete was rot. All the steel beams were rotten. This building was unsafe, uninhabitable. The beams needed to be pulled out. This isn't something I've ever learned how to do before. It's not working on houses, it's working on big structural concrete projects. Okay, so the second building, I've just ran up $100,000 of credit card debt and I'm having to pay this credit card debt, this revolving charge every single month. And it's not easy.
Not easy.
It's not easy, no. There's something called a burn rate. And your burn rate is your monthly expense that you have to pay to live. Now this is your vehicle, your rent, your groceries, it's everything that you need to either operate your business or your life. So I started looking at my burn rate. Okay, what can I eliminate? First thing, I pawn my chain. Second thing, I pawn my watch. Okay, now I take that money and I pay the contractor his deposit so he'll start. I tell him, don't worry about the beams, we're gonna do that. We're gonna take care of that. I still don't know how we're gonna take care of that. You know, the jobs start moving and we're starting to get some traction, and in the $100,000 of credit card that I bought material with is starting to be installed and my partners are chipping in, and I can see that the job is getting momentum. Knowing that the risk that I took was that the hard money lender will take everything if I can't execute. Those moments are priceless because that's what forces you to level up. When you know, it's called burning the ships. When you know there's no way out but through, that's when you're gonna rise to the occasion and you're gonna become something more. You're gonna become something more powerful. You're gonna learn skill sets that you didn't already have. You're gonna become more resilient. And this was the magic in Allentown. There was so much at risk and the only way out was through. So we buckled down, we pawned all of our belongings. At this point, I'm in an apartment in Hartford and all I have left is my car. My car and a couple pieces of furniture in the apartment. And what do you know? The revolving debt is just snowballing. Every month, the interest payments are getting higher and I can't keep juggling all this. So I gave up my car. I knew that I could take the train from Hartford to New York. Once in New York, I could take the bus to Allentown and I could have the material delivered again, the chief building, it's the same thing. The chief building inspector sees me on the brink of destruction, biting off a project that I could hardly chew. But if I got buy-in from the people around me, including him, I would be able to complete it. And this is a rite of passage. People need to see you, to really believe in you and to want to see you succeed, they need to see you struggle. So these are a few key elements that I learned along the way. You know, number one is jump right in. Don't think twice. If it's something you want to do, take the risk, jump in. 2, once you're in, oftentimes the only way out is through. And this is the magic, because this is what's going to change you. Number 3, as you're going through the mud, people are going to see this and the right people are going to help you get to the finish line. And number 4, the lowest moments will always lead to an upswing every time. All right, I think we're good. What do you think?
They're going to what? They're going to what?
They're going to carry you through bigger challenges. Reaching those lows and pushing yourself to the absolute limit is actually the prize of the journey. Because once you bounce back and you complete the project, whatever it is, it's gonna seem so small in the future, but you carry with you those badges of honor and those lessons you learned along the way, the hardships, the failures, the successes, the friendships, the partnerships, man, that's what it's about. Getting those things, honing those things within yourself, and now you can bring them out of other people as well. And people will gravitate towards you when they know you're that type of person. Okay, if I follow him, he knows where he's going, and he's gonna make me closer to what I wanna become. And that's what it's about, building a team and becoming that person you were meant to be. What do you think? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.